Hi there. Welcome to Margaret's Grammar Buzz YouTube channel, Learning Made Easy. In my previous videos, we have already discussed about adjectives and comparison of adjective. But in today's video, we will be concentrating on formation of comparative and superlative degrees of adjective. So, let's get started. I hope by the end of this video, you will be able to know the rules of formation of comparative and superlative degree and also be able to identify them. Now, before we move on with today's lesson, let's find out how much you remember about the degrees of comparison. Do you remember what we discussed about degrees of comparison in my previous videos? If not, then I would suggest that you go back and have a look at them. I have provided the link below. But for now, let us quickly revise the important aspects of degrees of comparison. I'm sure you do remember that only adjective of quality can have degrees of comparison. So, they are kind of special, aren't they? Always remember, no other but only adjective of quality can have degrees of comparison. Adjective of quality can change its form when it is used to compare one noun with another. Wow! That's really cool. They can change their form. Can you tell me what are the three different forms of comparison? Can you? Hey, you're right. They are positive, comparative, and superlative degree. Good job. Now let us quickly revise the three degrees of comparison. So to start off with, the positive degree of comparison is used when no comparison is made. The following one is the comparative degree, which is used when comparison is made between two nouns or two persons or objects. And the last one is the highest degree of comparison, that is the superlative degree, which is made when comparison is done between more than two persons or objects. I guess that you have recalled what degrees of comparison are. So now it's time for us to move on with the main part of the lesson. So let's begin. Now that we know how to identify the degrees of adjectives, let's see how they are formed. We are about to start discussion about the formation of degrees of comparison. Hey, do you know what are one-syllable adjectives? Can you say what they are? Well, when we read or pronounce any word in English, we usually break it up or cut it down into parts. These parts or beats are known as syllables. One-syllable words or adjectives are those words that cannot be broken down into parts while pronouncing them. For example, tall. Hey, you say the word tall together. You cannot pronounce it as t and all. That sounds quite funny. So, one-syllable adjectives or words are those words that cannot be pronounced by breaking them. Can you write down at least 3 one-syllable adjectives? If you wish, you could even pop them in the comment box. So now, let us see what are the rules to form the degrees of comparison for these one-syllable adjectives. So here they come. The first rule says, for one-syllable adjective, ER is added to the end to make it comparative, and EST is added to the end to make it superlative. That sounds very simple. Now take a look at the example. It says old. Old is the positive degree of comparison and it is definitely a one-syllable adjective. We surely can't say o and ald. It would sound so funny then. So the word is old. In order to change it into a comparative degree, we simply add an er to the word old, changing it to its comparative degree older. Similarly, we add an est to form the superlative degree oldest. So the comparative form of the adjective old is older and the superlative form is oldest. Now have a look at the next example. And it says short, shorter, shortest. Following the same rule, we add an er to the positive degree of comparison short, changing it to shorter, and an est to form the superlative or the highest degree of comparison shortest. Isn't the rule simple? I guess you followed it completely. So moving on with the next rule. And that is, for one-syllable adjective, if the word already ends in an e, then we simply add an r to form its comparative degree. Keep in mind that we are not adding an er simply because the word already ends in an e. Similarly, to form the superlative degree of comparison, we will only add an st to the positive degree and not an est, because the word already ends with an e. In this case, the word is wise. Take a look at the word wise already ends in an e. So to form its comparative degree, we only add an r, changing it to wiser, and we add an st to form the superlative degree, that is wisest. Remember, the rule is still the same as the first one. It is just that if the word or the one-syllable adjective ends in an e, we simply add an r for comparative and an st for the superlative. Now take a look at few more examples. They are large, larger, largest, and fine, finer, finest. Note that in both the cases, the positive degree of comparison, that is large and fine, end in an e. So to form the comparative and superlative degree, we simply add an r and an st. Here comes the last rule for one-syllable adjectives, and it states, if a one-syllable adjective ends with a single consonant having a vowel just before it, then to form its comparative degree, we'll first have to double the consonant and then add an er. And to form the superlative degree, we'll add an est after doubling the consonant. Let us try to understand this with the help of some examples. Take a look at the first one. The first one-syllable adjective in the positive degree is sad. Note that the consonant in this word is D, and just before it we have a vowel A. In accordance with the rule to form the comparative degree, we double the consonant D and then add an ER to it. So the comparative degree of sad is sadder. Similarly, to form the superlative degree, we'll first have to double the consonant and then add an EST. Hence, the superlative degree of the adjective sad is saddest. Take a look at the next example, that is fat. In this example too, the consonant is T, which is doubled, and then we add an ER to form the comparative degree fatter and an EST to form the superlative degree fattest. Have a look at a few more examples of one-syllable adjective following the same rule. They are big, bigger, biggest, wet, wetter, wettest. I hope that you have followed the rules that are needed to change one-syllable adjectives to its comparative and superlative degree. Now let us move on to know what are the rules that we need to follow in order to change a two-syllable adjective to their comparative and superlative degree. But before we do that, you should know what two-syllable adjectives are. They are adjectives which can be broken into parts while we pronounce them. For example, peaceful, careful, thoughtful. Hey, why don't you try pronouncing these words yourself? And you will find that you are actually breaking them down into two parts before pronouncing them. Can you make a list of at least 3 more words which are two-syllable adjectives? And you may even pop them in the comment box below. Now, let's see what are the rules to form the degrees of comparison for two-syllable adjectives. And it says that if a two-syllable adjective ends with a Y, you first need to change the Y to I and then add an ER to form the comparative degree and an EST to form the superlative degree. Have a look at the example. It says happy. The adjective happy ends with the letter Y. So we first change it to I and then add an ER to form the comparative degree of adjective happier. And we have to add an EST to form the superlative degree of adjective, that is happiest. So happy, happier and happiest. Remember to change the Y to I first. Have a look at the next example. It says funny. Here too, the positive degree of adjective ends with the letter Y and the comparative degree of funny is funnier. Superlative degree is funniest. Know that we have first changed the Y to I and then added an ER to form the comparative funnier and an EST to form the superlative funniest. Moving on with the next rule. For two or more than two-syllable adjectives that don't end in Y, we use more for comparative and most for superlative. For example, handsome. Here the adjective in the positive degree handsome does not end in a Y. So, the comparative degree will be more handsome and the superlative degree is most handsome. The following example says nervous. Note, this degree, positive degree especially, to remember, does not end in a Y. So to form the comparative, we use more and it becomes more nervous, and the superlative we use most, so it changes to most nervous. The next rule for us to understand is when a two-syllable adjective ends in an ER, OW or LE, then we simply add an ER or R for the comparative degree and an EST or ST for the superlative degree. Let us follow the example given. The positive degree of comparison is gentle. The two-syllable adjective gentle already ends in the letter LE. So to form the comparative degree, gentler, we simply add an R to it. And to form the highest degree or superlative degree, gentlest, we simply add an ST. Take a look at this example. The positive degree of comparison is slow. The word ends in OW. So to form the comparative degree of adjective slower, we simply add an ER to it. Similarly, to form the superlative degree of adjective slowest, we add an EST. Hey, there are some adjectives that do not follow any rules. They are not the regular ones. So, they form their own degree of comparison. For example, the positive degree of adjective many forms the comparative degree as more and the superlative degree as most. Few other adjectives which do not follow any rules are as follows: good, better, best; less, little, less, least; bad, worse, worst. The degree of adjective old can have two degrees of comparison. That is, for the comparative degree, it could be older or elder, and for the superlative degree, it could be oldest or eldest. Few other irregular adjectives, like the adjective old, may have two forms of comparative and superlative degree. For example, the adjective far has two forms of comparative and superlative degree. We could say further or farther for comparative degree and furthest or farthest for superlative degree. Remember, further or furthest are used to show or mean in addition to or to a greater extent. For example, if you need further information, please contact the reception. Here the adjective further indicates additional information. We use farther or farthest for physical distance. For example, the station is farther away than I thought. In this example, the degree of adjective farther shows physical distance. I hope by now you have followed and well understood the rules to form the degrees of comparison. In case of one-syllable adjective, two-syllable adjectives, and irregular adjectives. So, let us practice forming a few of them together. So let us start with some activity, and this is how the activity works. I'll be showing you a sentence with a given adjective in the bracket, and you have to form the correct degree of adjective keeping in mind the rule that we have just discussed, and use it to complete the sentence. So here comes the first one for you. And the sentence says, a steak knife is dash than a butter knife. And your positive degree of adjective is sharp. Can you say which is the correct degree of adjective that could be fit into this sentence? And how do you form it? Yes, you're right. The word is sharper. Good job. The next one says, that was the dash test I've ever taken. And your positive degree of adjective is difficult. What could be the correct degree of adjective to fit into this sentence? Can you form it? Yes, you're right, and it is most difficult. Good job. Here comes the next one for you, and it says, this week temperatures are dash than last week. And your positive degree of adjective is warm. I guess you've already got the hang of it. So could you tell me what is the correct degree of adjective to fit into the sentence? Correct, you're right. And the word is warmer. Excellent. Here comes the next one for you. And it says, do you think a snake is dash than an owl? And your positive degree of adjective is slow. Hey, what could be the correct degree of adjective that you would use in this sentence? Can you find it out for me? Yes, you're right. It is slower. Good job. The following sentence is, isn't he the dash little boy that you've ever met? And your positive degree of adjective is nice. Hey, can you state which is the correct degree of adjective for this sentence? I think you can. Yes, you're right, and the word is nicest. Wow, you're really good at it. Moving on with the next sentence. Joe has the dash feet in his family, and your positive degree of adjective is big. What could be the correct degree of adjective to fit into this sentence? Can you find it out? Can you spot it for me? Yes, you're right. It is biggest. Bravo. Well done. The following sentence for you is, that is the dash rock in the garden. And the positive degree of adjective is heavy. What could be the correct degree of adjective that you would use for this sentence? Can you say what it is? Yes, you're right. It is heaviest. Well done. Moving on with the next one, and the sentence says, mathematics is dash for him than science. And your positive degree of adjective is easy. I think it is easy too for you. Hey, that was really rhyming. To and you. Hey, okay. What could be the word that you would fit into this sentence? Yes, you're absolutely correct. It is easier. Good job. Here comes the next one, and it says, the store was dash than we thought. And the positive degree for you is far. I think we've just done this. And you're quite right. Your correct option is farther. Bravo, well done. Hey, here's the last one for you, and it says, I suppose no place is dash than home on Christmas. Yes, I suppose that too. It's really right and correct. And your positive degree of adjective is good. So what would be the word that you would use here? Or I would say the correct degree of adjective that you could fit in here. And you're right, it is better. Well done. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions at all, then you know what to do. Well, don't forget to pop them in the comment box. If you want me to continue making such videos, then don't forget to share, like and subscribe to my channel. Hey, don't forget to press the bell icon so that you are notified whenever a new video is added to the list. So, until next time, take care of yourselves and bye.